Hey guys, Aradania here. So, if you don't know already, I am absolutely obsessed with Stranger Things, so naturally I had to paint my OTP, Jonathan and Nancy. So, I love this show. I really wanted to paint them, and in this one scene, they're lying together on Nancy's bed, and I just really love the colors in it, and I was like, you know what, this is what I have to do. So I actually haven't shown you guys any of my paintings, which is kind of weird, but it's also understandable because I haven't been painting a lot lately. I'm starting to get more into it. So I've been really wanting to improve on my painting, so this is one of the more recent pieces that I've been working on with my painting, so you should expect some more coming soon. So actually, this painting is all done in watercolor. When I paint, I only work in watercolor. I don't know, it's my calling, I guess. I can't do acrylic, I can't do oil, Lord help me. So watercolor is the way that I go. The technique that I am using in my watercolor is from the light to dark layering. I have seen some people do dark to light layering, and I'm not sure how you do that with watercolor. Maybe teach me sometime, because I don't get how that works. Anyways, I use the layering technique, so in the basis right here, you see how it is starting off with just colors. It is just splotches of color, and then I work it up and do more colors, get darks and lights, and then once I have all of the colors down, it's all about colors. Once I have all the colors down, then I really start using detail. I save black for last, because obviously it is the darkest color that I have. So that is the last final detail stage once I am done with all the other colors. And then I do use white acrylic for highlights. Any highlights and just very fine details, I use white acrylic. So yes, this piece has really taught me a lot about watercolor. Like I said before, I am really starting to practice a lot more of watercolor and really learn how to work with watercolor so that it fits my style. And I think the one thing that I've learned from this piece is watercolor is very forgiving until it is not. At one point in this video, it is not here yet, but when I start working on the skin tones, I start with Nancy, and the skin tone for Nancy is way too yellow when it starts out, and I was like, oh my god, it's ruined. I worked on the background first. I don't know, I thought background would just bring the whole thing together, and I didn't want to have a complete, have them completely done and then screw up the background and go over the paint with some of the background colors, so I decided to do background first. Anyways, when I started doing Nancy, it was orange, and I was like, I just spent all this time doing detail on the background, and now she's orange, and I don't know how to fix it. But watercolor is also very forgiving because it gives you the opportunity to get creative and to fix things. I know for a fact with acrylic, you can't really do that much with acrylic if you mess up. You can white over it, but you can still see white underneath. So I really like watercolor because you add water, you add a different color, you go over top, and you just keep blending, blend and you blend until you fix your mistake. And it's really a challenge to figure out how that works for you. So yeah, it really taught me a lot. Right here you actually can see me putting in gray. This is me starting to get the details. I have all the colors in the background done, so I'm starting on the details, and I started actually with gray because this was me in all, the colors was me doing a basis of it of where I wanted everything to go, and then the gray is still like a rough sketch almost of where I want the black and the darkest points to go. But gray is a lot more forgiving than black is when it comes to watercolor, and gray can easily be blended out while black cannot be. So I really started with gray to do all the details, and I actually start with gray again when I'm actually painting Jonathan and Nancy themselves. Actually, I had so much fun doing the background of this piece. I am not big for backgrounds. I'm usually drawing portraits, so I don't really worry about backgrounds. But this was the first like really actual background that I had to do that wasn't of the main characters, and it was a lot of fun, especially like it's blankets and pillows, and there's a lot of shadows and a lot of lighting. The lighting was so much fun to do, but it was also very, very tricky because at one point you see it looking kind of very, very weird in here. Something just doesn't match up, and for the life of me, like I wanted to just stop because I couldn't get it right. But then I knew that it was the lighting, and as soon as I put in the detail of the lighting, that things would look a lot better. But that took a while, and that's also the thing about paintings, is that you really, really have to work at them to make them become something. Especially with the layering style, when it all starts as just colors, that gets really tricky to see a final product from it, and it also kind of puts a little bit of a damper on the whole painting. You're like, oh, this isn't working, why isn't it working? But really you just have to be patient and add more layers. And that's also what I love about watercolor, is that you can just create, like, you just build it up, and you have to really, really wait. And then it can also suck if you do mess up, and then you're like, wow, okay, well, what do I do now? But you gotta keep working on it. Here's the part where Nancy's face gets way too yellow, because see, here's also with me, I don't test my colors on my palette on paper after I mix them. I just go right to paper, which also is like, ooh, it's a little dangerous, but it's also like, oh my god, why did I do this? Why didn't I test it? And as you can see, I kind of learned with her arm, and I did a little less of the full with her arm, and then the rest of this is just me working on Nancy's skin tone, because I was like, she is yellow. What do I do? Actually, Nancy's hair turned out very, very nicely. Her hair took a bit of work, but I've actually never painted hair before. I have never painted hair. So, and I use kind of the style that I use for my drawings, as I go really detailed so you can see like individual strands. So I did that with Nancy's hair, and I'm really, really happy with the way it turned out. I'm always worried. I was really worried about ruining Nancy here, because I was like, I'm only used to drawing faces. I'm not really good at painting faces, so this was a big step for me. And here you can see me putting in the gray. I put in the gray in the skin tone just to give shadows, and it was a challenge. It was a lot of fun. I think my favorite part of this was just putting in actually like the black detail. Oh, here I'm putting in the lighting. I'm adding just yellow to everything, and it's like here is the lighting, and here's making it look a lot better. And I learned with Jonathan, and I didn't use that much orange, and I fixed my palette for Jonathan. So Nancy turned out good though, because Nancy's more like, she was in the yellow glow naturally of her light in the actual scene, so that worked out a lot. Jonathan got a little bit more pink than Nancy. Jonathan got more pink, Nancy got more yellow, and that's all about the lighting. And it's a challenge with painting, because really you have to, like, pencil, it's black and white, shadows are easy, you just darken them up, right? But for painting, you actually have to get the colors, and that's tricky. Mixing colors is tricky. People just seem to think, okay, here you just put one color in another color and that's easy. No, it's not really that easy, because it's all about tints and shades, and it's difficult. So this is me putting in the gray, and actually I was so upset with Jonathan's jawline. Just because of the angle that he is in took me so long to do. And you can even see me when I'm supposed to be putting, I think when I'm supposed to be putting in like the white detail, I am still fixing Jonathan's jawline with like black and gray, and I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah, but this was my favorite part about the painting, was when I started putting in the black detail, because then it really started to look real. Like the background looks great, but I didn't do the black detail on the background until this step, because I just wanted it to all come together just at once. And I did this part, I guess you don't really have to save the black for last, like all of it. Like I could have done the black in the background when I finished the background, but I didn't, because I just wanted, this was more for me, just to have the overall just, yes, this is it all coming together super nicely. And yeah, so I saved the black for last. I didn't have to, but I did. I'm really glad that I did, because I just got to see it all. Oh, Jonathan's jawline. Oh, this was a trick. This painting took me a long time to do, but actually I usually only work on paintings or my art on some days, but this I was working on every day, because I was so inspired and I just needed to have it finished. I actually broke my brush during this painting. Like I didn't like snap it in half or anything, but I was looking at it and I realized I literally have like 3 bristles left on this brush. I actually bought a bunch of new brushes, but so this one's probably on its way out. But actually this is the only brush that I used for the whole thing, which was kind of awesome. But yeah, it's down to like 3 bristles, and I was like, oh, when you art too hard, right? Actually, I put a lot more red into Jonathan's skin tone than I did for Nancy's, and I'm really glad that I did, because I don't know, his arms are actually one of my favorite parts in this piece regarding color, because it really just, I don't know, it just really blends nicely and it puts a lot of depth into it. I'm really, really happy. I'm also super proud of the part I'm working on right now, that little section right by Jonathan's arms, because the shadow turned out amazing, and I was like, this is why I do watercolor, because you can get such a cool effect with watercolor. I just love it so much. Is this me? No, this is, this is me putting in the white. Yes, this is me now blending white, and I use acrylic white, because watercolor white you just need to work so much, and I think it's easier to use acrylic because it can go over the top. You can also add a lot of water to the acrylic paint so that it works nicely with the watercolor underneath, and it blends very nicely. So I love using it, and I think it just adds depth, and it gives the effect that watercolor white just can't get. So that's why I use acrylic. Oh, I just love the detail phase is my favorite. Working it up is like angsty, and then adding all the final details are perfect. There's me still working on Jonathan's cheekbones and jawline. There it is. And then I wanted to, there was this empty space, so I wanted to put a quote on there, and it's actually a quote from Stranger Things of them. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So bye!